Welcome back to the Aftermatch with Kirsten Beeve. Come for the rugby, stay for the Aftermatch. I told you have to like and subscribe because we put bonus episodes of the podcast out, a la exactly what we're doing right now, reacting to the first All Blacks team of the year. Not just the squad, Beeve, we officially have an insight into Razor and what he is thinking in 2025. This is an interesting team. Let me just run you through it, 1 to 23. If you haven't seen it, Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor and Fletcher Newells. Tyrell Lomax is out with a calf injury, so unavailable for this test match. Scott Barrett, captain, of course, alongside Fabian Holland, who will make his All Blacks debut. Tupou Vai'i is starting at number 6 for the All Blacks. Ardie Savea is at 7. So that answers a few questions. And Christian Leo Willie, the second starting debutant for the All Blacks, at number 8. Cam Roigard, Bowden Barrett at 9 and 10. Geordie Barrett and Billy Proctor in the midfield. Sevu Reece, Rieko Ioane on the wing. Will Jordan out the back. And the bench is Samisoni Tokiaho, Ollie Norris, another All Blacks debutant, Pasilio Tosi, Semi Penny Finau, Duplessis Kirifi will gain his first All Blacks cap. Cortez Artima, Quinn Tupaia is back, and Damien McKenzie. Beaver, your initial reaction to that team? It's a bit different.
It's fascinating, isn't it? I guess the thing that jumps out of the list that you just read out, Kirst, is Tupou Vai'i. Named at number 6, was probably arguably in the top 3 players in the entire Super Rugby, certainly New Zealand's most outstanding lock of the entire campaign, and he has been named at 6, and for me that is just fascinating. And they experimented a bit with Tupou just before the last World Cup, having a couple of runs at 6, never really got off the ground of it, but here they are, test number 1, and he is in the number 6 jersey, and more questions than answers, you could say, Kirst, as they like to say.
Yeah, so the question is why? Why have they gone for the best lock in New Zealand and potentially one of the best locks in the world right now? Like, he is in career best form. Why have they put him out of position? Because he is, Beeve, he is out of position when you've got Sami Penny Finau. You've got 2 loosies on the bench. No lock cover, obviously, because Tupou can shift there. Scooter can play 6 and has played more 6 than what Tupou has played. Why are they shifting him?
Yeah, and so the big question that we haven't heard from Razor yet is this part of a bigger plan, or is it forced upon them due to the fact that no Luke Jacobson and no Wallace Hatiti? You tend to think that, but who knows? You've still got Sami Penny Finau, who was named in the initial squad. You've got to think guys like Leo Willie, they were named as an extended cover, but they're starting, and Sami Penny Finau, named in the initial squad, is an out-and-out 6, is on the bench. So I can see the rationale with Sami Penny on the bench because he is an athlete that can bring some real impact. He's not someone that's commanded his starting spot yet, but he is going to be wonderful value off the bench. But when you couple into the fact that we've now shifted a lock to the number 6 jersey, it's fascinating. The big question for me straight away, being the rugby nerd, is what does that mean from a style point of view? Yeah. And all of a sudden, I guess when the squad was first named, I thought, interesting, we might be shifting a little bit from last year, where I think we got a little bit caught trying to match Northern Hemisphere rugby and not always playing to New Zealand rugby's strengths as far as our ability to play at high tempo, high speed, high skill level, and we tried to play what we perceived wins test matches. I wonder still if there's a little bit of that, if there's a little bit of we've got to pick the biggest forward pack to match these big Northern Hemisphere packs, to match these South African packs. So that's the interesting thing about it. Was there always this in the back of the mind for the All Black selectors that we need a monster number 6? And that's where we've ended up.
Have we finally got the answer around Ardie Savea's position? Is he now a 7? Because they had the opportunity to select him at 8 this test and put Duplessis in there at 7, but they haven't. So does this mean that Ardie Savea is now seen as an All Black 7?
Most likely, Kirst. It certainly does. Although it's still just, there's just still a few question marks around it simply because no Wallace, no Luke Jacobson. and who you would have thought would have definitely featured in a top loose forward trio, or at least as well as the bench. So the fact that Tupou Vai'i was there, picked in the initial squad, but's not starting, tends to suggest, you're right, Kirst, that the All Blacks have decided that Ardie Savea is the future for him at the moment as a number 7 for the All Blacks, with Tupou Vai'i to come on, maybe raise the tempo of the game a bit with his natural game, and then maybe Ardie shifts to 8 when that happens.
Let's talk about a couple of these debutants, because it is a very exciting time and they've been elevated quickly. They've only been in the squad for 10 days, Beav, and they already get to start. A lot of these newbies that come in have to wait weeks and weeks and weeks before they actually get a chance to debut. Not these two. Christian Leo-Willie, who, as you mentioned, wasn't actually part of the initial squad, came in as injury cover. And Fabian Holland, Highlanders man himself, is going to absolutely lift the lid down there when he runs out for the All Blacks, isn't he?
Yeah, fascinating story, isn't it? The storyline behind Fabian Holland wanting to come to New Zealand to give rugby a crack. He wanted to be an All Black, and here we are now. He's debuting in his adopted home city. As you mentioned, Forsyth Bath will have another favourite out there come Saturday night. It's a wonderful story. He's a massive physical specimen. We've talked about it in the past, and now with you couple that in with the fact that you've got Tupou Vai'i playing 6, all of a sudden, this is one of the biggest packs I reckon we've seen for a long, long time in New Zealand rugby. Obviously, Christian Leo-Willie and Ardie aren't absolute monster men. Ardie plays big, of course, super powerful. Christian Leo-Willie, wonderful dynamic footballer. But this is a huge pack all of a sudden.
What about Christian Leo-Willie? The dentist, who only a few years ago, he only moved to Christchurch a few years ago, Beav, when the Crusaders won that title in 2023, because he was so focused on getting his dentistry degree. So he only really became a professional rugby player 4 years ago. Here he is, starting at number 8 for the All Blacks.
Yeah, and I mean, at the start of the All Blacks international window, when they named the squad, if you were giving out, I guess, unlucky certificates, Christian Leo-Willie would have been probably in the top 2 or 3 that didn't receive the All Black call-up. Obviously, that was quickly, I guess, covered up with the fact that he was in his injury replacement. It's fascinating, isn't it, that you go from not even in the squad to starting. I guess that's how highly he's rated. But it also shows the depth of loose forwards in this country that, hey, we've got guys that aren't actually picked, but we think they could start a test tomorrow. And, I don't think there's anyone in the country who will be worried about the fact that Christian Leo-Willie is starting number 8 from the All Blacks. He's had a wonderful campaign. As I said, if he'd been picked originally, no one would have batted an eyelid, because he had that good a campaign and was that important to the Crusaders' title hope.
Beav, talk to us about Rieko Ioane.
Yeah, I mean, look, Rieko's that talented a footballer, and having played so much at centre, he doesn't need to be pigeonholed into left wing, right wing. Obviously, if you're a winger all your life and that's all you do, you do end up gravitating towards one side because of your fend, because of your outside foot as your kicking foot and what have you. But Rieko's played in the midfield for the majority of his career now, so he's adept at going both ways as far as his fend, his swerve and all the rest of it. It's a very interesting one. I think it's one that's going to be well received. Rieko's been, I don't buy into, I guess, the polarising aspect of Rieko. I think he's a wonderful footballer, and we're very lucky to have him. But I think from a midfield point of view, they know that they can experiment as much as they want. But if they get to Australia in 2 years' time and go, you know what, I think Geordie and Rieko is our best midfield, then it's no issue, because Rieko's got all that experience, all that time in there. So it'd be interesting to see how often this happens this year, how much experimenting opportunities. But for me, it's just a massive tick towards Proctor. Proctor came in, towards the back end of Super Rugby. Everyone around the Wellington Hurricane scene was saying, oh, we'll be better when Billy comes back. We'll be better when Billy comes back. Oh, my word, they were. And he was phenomenal. And I guess, to steal a few of our colleagues' words as far as body of work goes, Kirst, he put together such a compelling case that I guess the All Black coaches are just fascinated to see if Billy Proctor can do what he was doing so brilliantly for the Hurricanes with his old mate Geordie Barrett inside him.
And look, we've joked about the URC and Geordie Barrett, but you genuinely think Geordie will come back and there'll be absolutely no rust I mean, there probably will be rust for the entire team, right? Because they've only been together for 10 days.
Yeah, and I think he'll be, I guess, probably even overly more eager and excited to be back. Obviously, he has been away for 6 months. He's been almost. I know he's had some good breaks in amongst that. They've looked after him well over in Leinster. Had plenty of time off. It hasn't just been continuous. A lot of golf hasn't been just continuous since the end of year tour. Like I guess it was portrayed there by few in the media. So no, I mean he's the vice captain of the All Blacks. He's a superstar of the world game, so I can't imagine there's going to be any issues. And I think it's a sound and wise selection. Once they knew that they were going to go Proctor, I don't think they could go Tamatava Nawa. It wouldn't have been fair on the two as a midfield combination to just throw them together in Test 1. Hey, we might end up there one day, but for, I guess, continuity and making it as easy and as comfortable for Proctor to shine, they put his experienced mate inside him in Geordie Barrett. And obviously, as we said, Geordie's the vice-captain of the All Blacks.
I want to talk about this bench makeup, Beef, particularly the backs. How do you think they use the backs? Where does Damien come on? Does Damien come on as first five? Does he come on as a fullback? Where does Quinn go when he comes on? And does Rieko Ioane at some stage shift into the midfield as well? How do you see it all playing out in the second half with who they've got on the bench?
Well, there's massive flexibility. Just when you were rattling it off there, of course.
Does Will Jordan stay on the field?
Yeah, exactly. If Damien comes on at 15, does Will Jordan go to a wing? Does Damien go into 10? Does Bodie go to the back? You know, you've got all these things because, look, if the game's tighter than a lot of people anticipate and Bodie's goal kicking well, then you don't take Bodie off. You know, he stays out there. He's got to be there to win you the game. So it'll be interesting to know which way they go with it. Quinn, I think at this stage, I wouldn't see him coming on much more than that anything else as a 12. So therefore, the juggling will go from there. When Quinn comes on, I can't see him coming on at 13. I see him coming on at 12 and 12 only. So therefore, if Geordie stays on the field, does Geordie go to the wing? Does Geordie go to fullback? You know, all these things are to happen. And of course, we've glossed over it, but a big decision has been made in the 10 jersey too. Damien is on the bench and Bodie Barrett's back end of season, I would suggest, where, I don't think there's any hiding from the fact he won them the game against the Chiefs and outplayed Damien and Hamilton that day. Obviously got a few other very good performances, got them very close in the Crusaders semi-final. He's won the battle for the initial 10 jersey.
Yes, we did gloss over that, so thanks for addressing it. We haven't glossed over this, though. The other two boys, uncapped, coming off the bench. Du Plessis, Kirifi, it's been a long time coming. For Ollie Norris, though, Beeve, I don't imagine a few months ago he would have been expecting to get an All Blacks cap in the first test of the year against France.
No, a few weeks ago he wouldn't have been. Obviously, again, not named in the initial squad. They had I don't think they'd hide from the fact that they had a very disappointing night scrum-wise in Christchurch, where a few of their now teammates really did a job on them. I'm thinking Newell and Tamaiti, and then Bauer took it to another level. So, I mean, Ollie would have been, pretty down in the dumps after the final and everything that unfolded there. So then he's been given an early Christmas present, it must be said. And now, as you say, he's going to be out there and, it's without a shadow of a doubt, he'll get on the field and he'll be a capped All Black.
Now, pulse check. Are you still thinking All Blacks 13 plus in Dunedin?
Yeah, I really am. I admittedly, seeing the layout of that forward pack, I certainly think it's going to be a different style All Blacks to what I guess after the first team announcement might have presumed that we were going to get. But in fairness, it is Test 1. It's always scrappy, so I can understand going the big pack, meeting whatever French resistance is going to be up front. But then hopefully, as we always see in Dunedin, under the roof, ball and play is usually a couple of minutes more than other venues anywhere in the world. I'd like to think that back line, the impact from Kirifi, Semi-Penny, Fee now and the likes, and then obviously all those backs, the starters and the bench, can really put the foot down in front of the Dunedin faithful.
Shame you couldn't get your Lions tip right from last night at Suncorp, right? 13 plus to me, 1 to 12 for you. So I'm already ahead of you on the board.
Well, I tell you what, I also had, I might have had a wager with our betting agency around the Reds keeping within 30. Well, that unfortunately got taken out of my hands too. But
stick with me, B. Stick with me.
Tell you what, those Lions, they're a treat to watch at the moment. They really are.
Yeah, they're roaring home, aren't they? And they're playing such a good brand of rugby. That is all from us. This is the Aftermatch special. As we say, like and subscribe. Send us your comments. What do you think of this All Blacks team? Are there questions for you as well, or do you absolutely love it? Subscribe so you always get notified if we are going to put an extra Aftermatch special show up. Otherwise, enjoy the test this weekend. Enjoy the Lions series. Long may it continue. We'll see you next week.